Welcome to Bible study, friend. I hope you're enjoying Exodus as much as I am. I am learning so much about God and really the human heart as well. Now, today we are wrapping up Exodus chapter 7, and I think we see it's so similar to yesterday, is it not? We have the same who. We have the Lord, Yahweh, that I am who I am. We have Pharaoh, this king of Egypt, who has a very hard heart. We have Moses and Aaron, and we have the magician. So the who remains the same. The what is similar. This today begins with God saying, this is verse 14, "Then the Lord said to Moses, Pharaoh's heart is hardened. He refuses to let the people go." So God affirms where we left off yesterday, that Pharaoh refuses to listen to the Lord despite the sign that God did before him through Moses and Aaron and their staff. Remembering yesterday that Aaron drops the staff, it turns into a serpent. Yes, the magicians are able to do something similar, something enough to deceive Pharaoh, but Aaron's serpent, or their staff, actually eats up or swallows up all the other serpents. So clearly a sign from the Lord, but Pharaoh's heart is hardened. It's almost as if this sign solidifies his heart even more. He absolutely refuses to listen. He is stubborn. So today I jotted down heart and hardened in my keyword column once again. The heart, we talked about it, I think, yesterday. This is the locus of a person's thoughts, their volition, their emotions, and knowledge of right from wrong. It's their conscience, and hard is to be stubborn. So Pharaoh is stubborn, tenaciously unwilling, or marked by a tenacious unwillingness to yield. And who is Pharaoh refusing to yield to? It is the Lord. It is the Lord saying, "Let my people go, that they might go and serve me." Go and serve me rather than you, Pharaoh. All right? Let my people go. So this is just remembering that this is a battle between the Lord and Pharaoh, and Pharaoh's hard heart. All right, so what happens today? The Lord has confirmed that Pharaoh's heart is hardened, so he is going to send Moses and Aaron on another errand. They are to perform another sign. They're going to repeat the same message to Pharaoh, but yet they are given another sign by the Lord to perform before Pharaoh. Why? Okay, we asked these same detective questions yesterday, and the answers remain the same. Today is just so similar to what we studied yesterday. Moses and Aaron are to go and make the very same request to Pharaoh on behalf of the Lord. "Let my people go, that they might go and serve me, worship me." That is verse 16. And the Lord points out, "Look, so far you have not obeyed me." So far you have not, but you will. All right, so thus says the Lord, "By this you shall know that I am the Lord." This is the why. This is the purpose of Moses and Aaron going to see Pharaoh, that Pharaoh will know the Lord, and that Pharaoh will ultimately let his people go, that they might worship him, that they might serve him instead of Pharaoh. All right, so everything remains very similar to yesterday, does it not? I mean, it's almost deja vu. It's just a completely different sign. Where is this sign taking place? They are outside. They are at the Nile as Pharaoh goes down to the water. When this is the morning, when Pharaoh is going to the water. And the sign will be this: use the staff to strike the water, and it shall turn to blood. And God says, look, the fish will die, the water will stink, and the Egyptians will not be able to drink the water from the Nile. And this is exactly what happens. We have just another similarity. Well, here's some more similarities to the first sign that I jotted down. One, God gives clear instructions. He makes it abundantly clear what Moses and Aaron are to say and what they are to do. I love that. Again, we see God's mercy. We see Moses and Aaron doing as the Lord commanded. That was verse 20. I tell you what, friends, as someone who is conflict averse, this just amazes me. Their obedience amazes me. I don't think I would want to be going to see Pharaoh. You know what I mean? Not under these circumstances. So I love this. We learned something about Moses and Aaron's heart. They are trusting in God. And don't we want that? Don't we want to trust him and have hearts like theirs? If we compare and contrast their hearts versus Pharaoh's hearts, that's the one I want. So we have a similar response from Pharaoh to the sign. Instead of seeking the Lord, Pharaoh turns to his magicians once again, and they are able to do just enough to deceive Pharaoh. And they do. They use their secret arts to deceive Pharaoh, and his heart remains hardened. Verse 22, he refuses to listen. And refusing to listen to who? This is the Lord who says, let my people go. Look, you're not obeying me. And here's another sign. So Pharaoh's heart is hardened. It is deceived. And this just reminded me of a verse in Jeremiah 17:9. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately sick. Who can understand it? The heart is deceitful above all things. And don't we see that here? Pharaoh's heart is deceived, and probably for a good number of reasons, things we've already talked about. He himself is worshipped as a god. He himself must think he's all that and more. There's definite pride. He doesn't even care to know this Lord of the Hebrews. He just refuses. He does not listen. And what do we see at the end of this story in verse 23? Pharaoh turned and went into his house and did not even take this to heart. I kind of want to cry at that. That is hard. And I just made this note on this. I asked the question, does Pharaoh really suffer? Does this sign impact Pharaoh in any way? By that verse, no. Pharaoh's not affected at all. He just simply turns and goes back into his house. Who are affected here? It is the people. It is the Egyptians. They're the ones that must go and dig wells to find clean water to drink. Somebody's going to bring Pharaoh clean water for drinking and bathing. He really is not affected by this at all. But friends, what do we learn? What do we learn about God? There's a few things, and I probably should take time to jot these down. One thing is God knows hearts, right? We saw this back at the beginning when God told Moses, Pharaoh will need to be compelled. His heart is hard. He will need to be compelled by a strong and mighty hand. God knows Pharaoh's heart. Friends, God knows our hearts. And this was my application for today, to just surrender my heart to Him. It's safe. Our hearts are safe with Him. I love Proverbs. This is Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Oh, how do we do that? We surrender our hearts to the Lord, who knows hearts and sees and understands. We want our hearts to be soft and pliable. We want the ears of our hearts to listen to the Lord. Very, very different from Pharaoh, who absolutely refuses to listen. He is stubborn. He doesn't want to know this Lord. Oh, friends, let this not be true for us today. Oh, Lord, give us soft and pliable hearts. Here, we just give you our hearts, Lord. Do with them as you will. And please unite our hearts with your heart, that we might think like you and speak like you and act like you today.